So we're sitting here today in Joshua Tree National Park, and I've just come back from a lot of touring. It's been really, really grueling, and I love to get into the outdoors to kind of recharge, to relax. This is really what I live for. It's so beautiful, such a privilege to be out here, and that's why I like shooting, because I want to share it with you. Today's video, what we're going to be shooting into is my deepest perspective of life, and I'm going to be sharing with you things that are so personal to me about why I believe that we're on this earth, what it all means, what suffering means, what growth means, what prosperity means, and really what it means to awaken within the dream. I think life has a very dreamlike quality to it, and I think that life is pretty weird. And so I want to share with you how I have processed this, what it means to me. And we're going to really push the envelope in this video. We're going to go way past what typical personal development would normally focus on and show you something that I think is so powerful. I think this will give you the craziest advantage that you could ever imagine. But in saying that, I want you to decide if you think this works for you. I don't want you to just take it as point blank. I think that when we push the edge like this, you have to make the decision if this works for you. There's a part of us that moves towards the traumas that we have unresolved. And the reason why, in my speculation, I'm guessing, I don't know for a fact why. So there's a biological potential explanation for this, because remember, this is all new, right? This is like newly discovered territory here. It's either biological or it's spiritual. If it's biological, then what it is simply the psyche, the subconscious in the psyche, is craving to move towards situations, places, or things, or people that will help us to go through trauma until we resolve it and keep replaying it until we resolve it. It can also be a biological addiction to certain emotions. From a spiritual standpoint, in theory, and I can't prove this, it could be that we're being reincarnated and that we need to replay trauma. We're seeking out, as we move through different iterations of our lives, we're seeking out people, places, things, and situations that will traumatize us to heal, to become whole as we ascend spiritually to some other dimension or something like that. Some people have taken things like DMT. They'll describe other dimensions they see. That could just be a hallucination, or it could be real. No one's clear on that, and maybe we're moving into that. One thing common in people that take DMT is they'll say they realize how much this reality is just ridiculous. And you'll just see them being like, that's ridiculous. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God, right? And so maybe what we're doing is we're going through trauma to move towards wholeness. I can say that almost every major fear that I've ever had, things that I'm so afraid of, these worst case scenarios that I was so terrified by, I've experienced almost all of them. I was deeply traumatized by them, had to fix it, release it, heal it, and now I feel a lot more whole because I did that, than if those things never happened and I was always walking on eggshells to try to avoid them. So that being the case, what I want to look at here, I want to really consider the web that you put yourself in. And I believe that 99% of people are not ready to ascend, and they will sit there spinning their wheels in life to do anything to avoid ascension. I also believe that there's rules to ascension. I believe that you'll be tested very deeply, and I'm going to talk about that later. And I believe that your desire to ascend will be tested. I'm going to talk all about it, okay? And that basically, the major way that you can tell somebody avoiding ascending is the following. It's what their reticular activation system, it's what their selective focus tends to zone in on. So when you see somebody complaining about the traffic, or you see somebody complaining about that they're a victim, or you see somebody complaining that someone crap talked them, generally speaking, the way that I see that in my version of the world, in my Owen world, is they're trying to avoid ascension. I'm not hearing them at the surface level. I'm not hearing that at all. I'm not like, wow, the traffic. Oh my goodness, what a tragedy. I'm not thinking that at all. I'm thinking they're in this beautiful spiritual realm with these incredible things around us, in this crazy mystery of life, and they're doing anything they can to let that land and to ascend. They don't want to let it land. So they're using these little annoying things to block out the sun. They're blocking out the beauty of the world in front of them, and they're using it to hold themselves down. I've also seen this, by the way, when I've traveled to beautiful locations. So for example, I mentioned the hiking thing in Hawaii. One place I like to go hiking in many years is a place called the Nepali Coast. Kauai, in my view, is the most beautiful island in Hawaii. I believe it's the oldest, or one of the oldest. It's the Jungle Islands, where they shoot like King Kong, Jurassic Park. They also shoot that on Oahu a bit too. And there's this thing called the Nepali Coast. So Kauai is a circular island like this, and there's roads around most of it. It's like shaped like a C, and then there's this one chunk with no roads on this oldest island in Hawaii. And you can hike this thing and go in. There's no cell phone reception, and it's the most stunning place you'll ever see. Maybe I'll get a video out later and show you an example of it. It's like green giant mountains, fluorescent green, waterfalls through them, carved out by rain. I mean, it's like being on another planet. And I've noticed that when I go there with my friends, It's so overwhelming, it's so beautiful, so stunning, and it makes you realize how small you are, right? And again, with the me show doesn't like the Nepali Coast, right? The me show doesn't like it, except maybe to get a selfie. So the me show doesn't like it. And the reason why is because it's too powerful. It's too in your face. It's too all-consuming, and it makes you see your smallness, and it makes you realize you're part of something much bigger, okay? So you simultaneously realize your smallness and your greatness, how small you are compared to this, and yet your greatness in that you are a part of this. So it depends on really how you identify yourself, and the me show doesn't want to identify the greatness. So the me show, what it does is it makes you retract, and I'll see my friends in these beautiful environments go almost robot-like into their autopilots, okay? So say robot-like autopilots. Okay? And so what happens is if somebody's back in LA, in the business world, they're always talking about the certain business thing. Rather than taking in the experience, which is really more challenging than you'd think, right? The irony here is we think when we go to Hawaii, we're gonna be happier. I'm gonna be so happy when I go on my island trip. It's gonna be so refreshing. It actually, certain things are so beautiful, it's actually stressful. I think couples do that to each other too. They've got this magical person in front of them, and it just puts them, even further into this kind of contraction because they can't let it land. They can't let the wind land. It's hard to let the wind land. Part of what I'm going to teach you today is how to let the wind land. For me, my experience of it is I'd start talking about business, funnel, sales, teaching. And it was like I couldn't let it land, and I could feel myself doing it. One time, I weirdly and creepishly stormed off the damn trail and went home early. I started convincing myself I need to get back to LA right now, and I need to fix all this shit. And it was like, and as I was walking back, it was really trippy. That story would take like 5 hours to tell. It is super weird, and I learned a lot from it. So these experiences that we think are so good, the Nepali Coast, like a great relationship, should be pure positive, but in many ways will bring things up for us that shows where the trauma is. Okay, these things that we think are amazing, it winds up bringing up our stuff, is what I want to point out. Now, what I want to audit next is I want to look at where the addiction to low vibration energy exists. And don't doubt, people are addicted on low vibration energy. For example, whenever I do an interview with somebody to hire them, the first thing I do is I'm like, tell me about your old boss. Whatever they say about their old boss, to the letter is what they will say about me. To the letter, when we're done. If it's something, say it was a horrible boss, but that person focused on the positive, they're like, yeah, it didn't work out. But there was this good thing about it. There was that good thing about it. I know that when they leave my company, they're going to say that. Conversely, if they've got a problem with it, I know that they're going to say that. It's autopilot. It's in their nature to do it. If you want to know how your current partner is going to leave you, ask them their complaint with their ex. They're going to know. You're going to see what triggers them. You're going to see their trigger right there. You're going to know. And they're going to repeat that over and over until they heal it, right? That's why if you want to have longevity in a long-term relationship, you have to commit to mutually healing to some degree. It doesn't need to be this like defining thing your relationship where you can't go see the Avengers and you're like, what's our healing? I'm not trying to like take it into a cartoon, but there has to be some degree to which you recognize like, okay, babe, like as awesome as it was in the start, there's going to be that point where we're going to start to piss each other off. And what's going to be, first of all, it's called a conflict de-escalation strategy. Say this with me. Conflict de-escalation strategy. Second one is seek first to understand, then to be understood. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. And another one would be mutually healing. Mutually healing. So you've got to recognize that. This shouldn't dominate your entire being with somebody. It's not meant to be, it's going to be hard, but it's not meant to be that hard. Like there's a point where it's too hard, but you have to understand that. Now, here's the basic pattern of how it works in a relationship, okay? So what we do is we find somebody who, ideally we have a lot of stuff in common with that we have synergy on, but usually there's also some mutual trauma. It's just how it tends to be. And then you go up. So what you do is you'll stay in this kind of romantic haze that will last, it could be weeks, months, whatever, it could be years maybe, whatever it is. It goes up like this. At a certain point, you have so many positive reference experiences together that you're not willing to walk. Clink, because you're not willing to walk. At that point where you're no longer willing to walk because you've had such a great time together, that is when the low vibration energy kicks in and whoom, down into the dirt. Typical relationship pattern, what you'll see is first third, euphoric, second third, kind of mediocre, but pretending it's still euphoric. That's really where the work is and where it should stay, because then you can actually have a deepening right there. Really the amusement park first part is just building common interests or building a bond. Really, you should say in the second part, and then anyway, get in that later. And then the last part is like a living hell. Anybody here ever experienced that pattern with their ex-partner? Okay, right? And when it goes in that living hell, you'll have these thoughts like, why can't it be like before? This is so weird. I've had it before, like, I've had it before where like I'll have things that I used to do with exes, and like I always love that cool part in a relationship where you're just honestly on each other's team, you're having fun, you're sharing experiences, it's new, it's fresh, it's a breath of fresh air. And what I try to do, this is something that I do in all my relationships, even in my friendships, business relationships, whatever it is, I will keep reminding myself what the original purpose of the relationship was. I think a lot of people lose sight of that. They forget what the original purpose was. Like you're in a relationship with your partner, and now you're just kind of in it just to be in it. You forget what the original reason was. I saw this in my company, by the way, where I built my company because I love doing teaching, I love doing coaching, and then as the company grew, my business partner, frankly, just wasn't able to manage it as it was growing in many ways. And I found myself having to step in and continually mediating and dealing with different breakdowns of this or that. Usually when you run a business, it's always the same. All the players want to get paid more and do less work. That's how it always is. Every human's like that. Every human on the earth or form of life wants more value for less. That's just the way that we are. It's our hard wiring. It's part of biology, right? So now all of a sudden you have different people feel they're deserving more of this, they're deserving more of that. You're mediating different things. Who gets to promo at this time? What if it is these leads? A lot of people forget the beauty of the team in the first place. They take it for granted. Everybody I've ever worked with goes on to become ultra successful. They get a worldwide platform, but they forget about that and they just focus on some problem, and then I'm mediating that. After me mediating that for a long time and doing that, I actually woke up one day, I'm like, why did I get in this? Was this why I got in this? No. I got in this for brotherhood because I love my brothers, and I got in this to go out and party and have fun and coach. And that's when I started teaching again. This is really why I got into this. Funny enough, running a business, this is the least lucrative thing I can be doing. I'm losing opportunity costs to do this. But why do I do it? This was why I got in this. With your romantic partner, a great question you can ask yourself when you're deeper in it and you're kind of in that argumentative phase is the same one I did in my business with my brothers. Why did I get in this in the first place? I got in this so we could vibe out and have fun. Usually in a relationship, this is what you're going to notice. It starts off where you just pump each other's states, you have fun, you have sex, you do have adventures. Later, you start doing what I call poison dripping on each other. It's these little miniature manipulations where when you're sitting there talking to each other, rather than vibing out and building energy and renewing yourself spiritually, what you're doing is you're trying to get a little piece of real estate on them, and they're trying to get a little piece of real estate on you, and you're kind of working out the dynamic. Part of what helped me to heal from ever doing that was seeing how many relationships that I was in just died. And then thinking of all the time that I wasted in a not fun state and being like, if that had worked out, then these different discussions of getting on the same page would have been worthwhile, but it didn't even work out. So what was the point of that? What was the point of even having that experience at that point? So what I do now is I continually say to myself, Owen, why did I get into this? And I keep it right there. As an example, I'm like the most unjealous guy you'd ever seen in a relationship, to the point it can almost be freaky. Does that mean I have no jealousy in me at all? No, it doesn't. I feel jealousy because that's part of being a human being. But think of all the past relationships you had where you got super jealous over your partner doing something, right? And you got all wound up, and it was this big fat deal, and then in the end, what happened? You broke up anyway. So what does it really matter what you thought of this or that or the other thing? It all amounted to nothing. So knowing that, if I have a partner, I just don't really get jealous, not because I maybe don't feel a little emotion or a shot of adrenaline if I see something a little off. I just got over it because I don't want to waste my life acting like that. Likewise, I don't get into power struggles anymore. I can't be bothered because I don't want to waste another minute of my life going down that route. So I just have fun with the person. I keep it simple. Just say the word keep it simple. Say it with me. Keep it simple. Say go back to the original intent.
Go back to the original.
Ask yourself what you liked about it initially when you did appreciate the person. The problem though is that if that person is carrying low vibration energy, their low vibration energy will be stuffed down by the initial novelty of what's happening. The low vibration energy also has its own intelligence, in my opinion. So the low vibration energy understands, withdraw now, okay? This is one of the first shocking things I'm saying to you, okay? The low vibration energy, in my opinion, has its own innate intelligence, just like positive energy does. This is one of those subjective things I can't prove, but I believe it very strongly. The energy has its own innate intelligence. The energy will withdraw to allow you to get enmeshed with the other person at a very deep level. Now you're enmeshed. Once you so the high of the new person shoves down the low vibration energy. The low vibration energy will also always retract anytime that you'll do something that will later hurt you. That is why many of the best things in life that feel so good is when you're hurting yourself. How do I also know this? What do a lot of BPs do? That's a borderline personality. They do something called cutting. What is cutting? You should study this. What is cutting, guys? Anyone can explain what it is? Any cutters in here? Share it. A lot of cutters.
It's self-injury.
Self-injury.
To release, like...
It's kind of like a distraction. Like knowing yourself.
When somebody's deep in low vibration energy, they will self-cut. If you're not someone who's a cutter, I'm not, that sounds insane. Insane. They're cutting because the low vibration energy's innate intelligence says, make it feel good when they're engaging in self-harm. It medicates the LVE for the low vibration energy for a minute, okay? Likewise, S&M relationships. What is that? They're traumatizing each other and then going into physical intimacy. And it actually amplifies the sexual relationship. That's why there's all that kind of stuff too. It's usually based around trauma. Trauma is everywhere. This is a huge topic. It's not always like that. Some people just want to get a little kinky. Don't get me wrong. I'm not judging I'm not painting a broad brush there, but there's certainly examples of it, no doubt. So what you have is a case where if somebody's going to feed your trauma, the low vibration energy, which has its own innate intelligence, will withdraw. You will feel euphoric around the person and you'll enmesh. As soon as that boundary goes down, boom, you get hit. And what happens then when you get hit is you want to fix it because you want to go back to how it was. So you double down. And the low vibration energy, what it will do is it will seduce you in a little bit, hit you again. Seduce you in again a bit, hit you again. Seduce you in a bit, hit you again. There's words for that like push and pull. Say the word push pull. Push pull. Or words like gaslighting. Okay, you can study this in videos on NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, and you'll always see it. Right when you're about to leave, they put you back in. Now, in NPD, BPD, things like that, there's something also called a discard. The low vibration energy has its own innate intelligence. So it's doing math, just like the Horizon Zero Dawn game I was describing. It's doing math. And so the low vibration energy does basically a math calculation, in my opinion. And it says, if I push and pull this person for another 2 years, because what does low vibration energy fundamentally want to do? What's its goal? To spread. To spread. That's why, in my view, suicide bombers, remember, these crazed shooters, they kill everyone else, and who do they kill? Themselves. Low vibration energy is demonic energy brought to the earth to destroy life, including the person hosting it. It is meant to kill everybody. That's why the crazed shooter also wants to kill themselves, because they're possessed by low blah, you know what, LV. Scary stuff. So that person gets possessed by LV. LVE can be on the extreme end, a suicide shooter, a mass shooter. On the low end, your girlfriends. So, okay, and you, because we all have it, okay? Don't blame it on everybody else. Use the mirror. So what happens is it does a calculation. If I push and pull this person for the next 2 years, can I stop their ascent further? Because the purpose of the LVE is to stop the ascent. Or if I do a discard right now, can I put them in insane pain? So what happens is, if your partner maybe has NPD or BPD or any of these forms of low vibration energy, even though you're miserable in a relationship, eventually, if the LVE's innate intelligence knows it can hurt you more by discarding you, it'll discard you. And in the discard, you'll feel almost suicidal, which is crazy because this person caused you more pain than anybody else. So why are you wanting back? But all you know is you want back. Who here's ever had that where you're in a miserable relationship, they do the discard, and you become nightmarishly sad after? Anybody here ever had that experience? Put your hands up high so people can see that, okay? So do you guys recognize what I'm talking about right now? Did you have thoughts like, why am I chasing that person back when I'm miserable? It's quite bizarre, isn't it? It's called a discard. Many of you will run into BPD partners, NPD partners, both in friendships, business relationships, and in real life. But here's what's interesting. NPD, BPD, sociopathy, schizophrenia, all that, really are just hyper-exaggerated versions of low vibration energy in general. They're just cartoonified, exaggerated versions where you can actually see the low vibration energy's innate intelligence on display right in front of you. It's so obvious when you look at a BP. And it's quite insane. And you can literally see demonic energy running them. Like demonic energy running them. Who has ever dated a BP and come out of it and tell? Did any of you guys ever have the thought, I don't know if this is mental illness or a demon.
I had a girl tell me that, so she had cheated on me, and I was pretty young. I think I was like 17 dating this girl, and she was staying at my house. One night, after I found out she was cheating on me, I was super distraught, and like, I'm laying there, and she was spooning me, because, you know, I was upset. And she reaches over, and her name was Charlotte, and super comforting, and it was just not something my girlfriend would do at the time.
Yeah.
So I was really freaked out, and I'm like, what the fuck? And she's like, you know, Charlotte didn't want to hurt you. And I'm like, yo.
Yeah, that's right.
I kicked her out of my house the next day.
Yeah. Oh, no, there's way worse than that. Same thing, another experience. Stand up and share with the group. Make a group share. We'll keep this quick. Some group shares. That's on the low end of what I've seen. That is the low end of what I've seen. Go ahead.
My last long-term relationship that I was in, the girl threatened me with suicide if I was going to break up with her.
Mm-hmm. Very common. Yep. Quick share. Quick.
When she got pregnant, I think it triggered a lot of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And she started getting more aggressive, more violent. I wouldn't respond because
you're a very nice person.
well, to save my son, because we had a baby.
Okay.
I go to jail, get killed, she could take my son.
Yeah, because it's demonic. It's demonic energy.
Yeah.
Good for you, bro. Next one.
Yeah, I was on the phone, and I was just like, everything seemed chill. Just like, I was at my brother's house, he has a historical home, and just doing improvements. I told her I'm gonna go help him. And she wanted me to go out with her. I'm like, I already planned it. So I was like, oh, everything was cool. I was like, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Like, we go to the Home Depot, pick up stuff, come back to the house, and we pull up, and she's there. And miniskirt, high heels, looks fucking hot. She's attacking the house, tearing the bushes, throwing pots, like breaking the outside furniture, saying, you love this house more than me.
Yeah. Yes, demonic energy. And it's very much the little me. It's not a very collaborative frame, is it? It's a very competitive frame, right? And by the way, when I hammer you guys on getting out of the competitive frame, that's because that's the kind of bizarre aberrations that the competitive frame leads to. The little me, the me show. It's all about me versus the house now. That's what I'm saying. When the negative energy and it's all about me gets too dense, it leads to deranged, psychopathic, freaky nonsense. That's the extreme versions. But we can look at, say, some crazed killer. That is an exaggerated version of what we all experience on a low end in day-to-day life when we get mad in traffic or something like that. It's the same kind of thing. These are things, now we can look at the exaggerated version in order to identify the energy and to understand its characteristics. But fundamentally, we also have a regular life where it's not gonna be some demon, but yet it's still, you know, say that you're beside yourself with anger, that is still that same rage-fueled energy coming to the earth, okay, from some other realm in my view. If you wanna learn about energy awareness, here's what they would say. Whenever we're receiving, you have present energy, high vibration energy, and then you have what's called, we're in the physical, okay? That feeling of having unprotected sex with someone that you don't know, or that a cutter would get, or you get from drugs and alcohol, is a very physical feeling that is obscuring present energy. It's obscuring it. So whenever you're receiving, you want to think of it like the ozone layer, okay? You have the sun. The sun comes in, this is the earth, it hits the ozone layer for a minute, bounces, and then that gets rid of the bad stuff in it, and then it comes in. Whenever you're receiving too much in the physical, it's a trick. It's called a deal with the devil. Say a deal with the devil.
Deal with the devil.
So what's happening is something like, say, hard drugs. What it's doing, say you took meth, that's gonna be a very physical experience. It's gonna completely obscure present energy, and it's gonna feel really, really good. You're gonna get a rush from it. The characterization of low vibration energy is this. It gives you something huge on the front end, and then depletes like 10 times more on the back end, creating a nightmare for you. That's why if we do meth right now, we're gonna have an awesome time. Like this seminar could only go way better on meth. But what's gonna happen is we're gonna have this downside to it, okay? There's a downside to it. So what we wanna do when we're about to receive something, to have energetic awareness, is we pause for a minute as we're about to receive the pleasure, and we go, wait a minute, stay present. Is this high vibration or low vibration energy? And you have to provide that filter right there before you do it, okay? Something like, say, McDonald's that is filled with all sorts of chemical high fructose corn syrup, when you eat it, like those like fresh ass French fries, It's a very physical experience. You'll notice as you're consuming it, you lose connection with presence. It's hard to eat a Big Mac and a shake and fries from McDonald's staying present. And that is why people that are very poor, who are kind of engulfed by low vibration energy, they're gonna resonate with a place like that because they're cheap, but also because they feed and stimulate their low vibration energy. And funny enough, when you're in a high vibration state, you will begin to resonate with the healthy food, the healthier partner that's not going to traumatize you as much. I'd say not at all, but good luck. Okay, so, and that's fine. The point is to grow together. You're a team. That's the point. So you've got to be aware of these things. Now let's look at what drugs does. Drugs and alcohol is probably the number one way that low vibration energy can come in the earth that I've seen. Here's why. So what you have is basically a protection shield. The more that you're pulling down high vibration energy, the more of a protection shield you have. Big reason that I believe I don't get sick is because I do a lot of work on this. So what you have is a protection shield. Now, think of it like you're in your kingdom, okay? You're in your kingdom like this. And you have walls around the kingdom. And there's Vikings that are trying to get in and destroy the kingdom. Then what you do is you decide to blow the wall out. Okay? You just take a bomb, you blow the wall out, you blow away the protection. Okay, fine. Now the Vikings are out there, and they're like, wait a minute, they blew their own wall out? Let's pretend that we're leaving. Let's pretend we're going over here because these idiots are blowing the wall out. This is hilarious. Now, in the castle, what do you start to think? Whenever we blow the walls out, the Vikings go away. We should keep blowing the walls out. The Vikings are leaving. The invaders are leaving every time we blow out the walls. What's happening is when you're using drugs and alcohol, you are making your protection shield like Swiss cheese. Whenever you're using drugs, essentially what you're doing is you're accessing a state of enlightenment that you could eventually train into yourself to, it'd be a different version of it, but you could train into yourself to a certain extent, okay, to an extent. It's a different version of it. Now, what's happening is, what you're doing, the reason why you're feeling like that from the drug is because the low vibration energy sees it and it's moving away. In this realm, again, what I've taught you this weekend, I feel is objective until today. I gave you things I know to be true. Today I'm giving you things that I think might be true. Got it? Now, in my view, because we're going to do work on this, okay, and I've worked on this for years, what's happening is basically you're blowing out your protection shield like Swiss cheese. How do we know this? How do people act a lot of time when they get drunk? They become rage-fueled. They start getting in fights. They become a victim. They start going into the scaries. They get super crazy scared. Whether it's going home with someone you shouldn't go home with and having unprotected sex, whether it's getting into a fist fight. I mean, people destroy lives or kill each other off alcohol, drunk driving, all that stuff. They ruin lives off it. It's crazy, right? This crazy substance called alcohol that everybody's drinking. Our society resonates with bad food. Our society resonates with alcohol. Here's why. We're in a very energetically dense realm here, okay? We're in some kind of purgatory realm here where probably about 85% of the people are in a descent and about 10 or 15% are on the ascent. That's my observation. So they're probably, in my view, going to some other realm beyond this. It's going to be worse, is the majority of people. How do I know this? Simple. Look at the average person, look dead in their eye, look at them the next year. Are they ascending or going down? Simple. What do you see in 80, 90% of people? What do you see? Down. They're going down. They're going more into repetition. They're going more into the little me. They're going more me. The ultimate hell realm is a realm of just nothing but separateness from God, complete and utter terror, the little me, the little me, the little me, the little me. Anytime that you're in a pain body attack or in some kind of negativity, imagine a 100x version of that. That's basically what I believe hell and different hell realms probably are. So basically what you have is people are moving through there. You'll also see people on the ascent. People on the ascent, as they get older, freakishly look younger. They could even be getting a bit more wrinkles, but they look younger. You're going to see it in the pupil. You're going to know someone's ascending from across the street. You can see it from across the street. There's a vibrance in the eye. You'll see a slight glassiness, and versus somebody who's in separateness, you'll see a shark-looking eye. Okay? The little me is afraid. That is why what happened to you was you were told to stop the me show. That energy's running you, and it's afraid of ascent, and it's manipulating your reticular activation system.
I realized that after.
Good. So here's the thing. I don't know if this can be stopped. Like Andrew, you're on the descent. I don't know if I can stop it. I'm your good friend. I don't know if I can stop it. I don't think I can. I don't. But I'll be your friend the whole way down the bottom. So and most of my friends are. Most of my friends are. If you're going to restrict yourself only to people that are ascending, you're going to have very few friends. So, yep, very quick.
Balance the being in the club environment around all these people and have kind of spirituality in your life?
I mean, kind of like what I said, brother. It's like most people are on the descent. What are you going to do? That's most people. How often do you meet someone really ascending? It's not very common. I like to have friends. I just don't I don't go down that route with them. That's not my role to go. I don't say anything. I don't scold them. I don't preach. To get me to give this conversation, you got to pay me. You need to pay me to tell you the truth. Okay? If you're not paying me, what do you think of me? You're awesome. What do you think of me? I think you're perfect. Because if someone's not paying, they don't want critical feedback. Someone's got to come to me with a genuine question. Even when people ask me what I teach when I'm out, they're like, what do you teach? I'm like, just some like silly self-help stuff. It's just for people are, the clients there, they're just crazy. I just downplay it. Because it's not a real question. They're asking so that they can rip it down or they can say they don't need it. I don't want to go down that route with them. A sincere question, you know it a mile away. They're ready. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Most of them are just looking for ways to ridicule it. Don't bother. Quick question. I need to continue. Quick question.
So,
Loud though, too, brother.
I've chosen in the past to surround myself with just people that are on the ascension path. What is a good way for me to challenge myself to have more friends that are not on the ascension path?
I mean, here's the basic thing. We're all one anyway. Whatever is their spirit's journey is their spirit's journey. I have areas I'm descending to. I'm not perfect, so why am I going to judge somebody else? But I'm not going to start taking on their lifestyle choices. That's my thing. So, okay, I want to have fun. I don't want to just restrict myself to only some snob community. That's not real life. Like, I've worked out at Equinox. I've worked at LA Fitness. At LA Fitness, guys like threatened to beat me up over the bench press. At Equinox, everyone's like, we're from Equinox. Like, I kind of like LA Fitness. I don't care. I don't want to isolate myself. That's not real life, man. So, anyway, look. Basically what you have there, though, is take with drugs and alcohol. So you blow apart your protection shield, and here's what happens. You blew it apart. Now what happens is the reason that you're feeling good is because you got a reprieve from the low vibration energy. Typically to get rid of low vibration energy, here's how we do it. We either medicate it, alcohol or addiction to sex, it's unhealthy. Sex can also be the best thing, but it can also be an addiction. We either medicate it, we stuff it, and then you just like explode later. We just stuff it down. A lot of men do that especially. Medicate it, stuff it. We can just run away from it as a way to deal with it, or we can release it. What you were learning this morning in our sessions this morning was how to release it. Now, when you're actively releasing on a regular basis, what begins to happen is you will access that same feeling of being drunk or high, but sober. And that's why when you see me at the club, it's very frequent I'm having more fun than everybody, because I can access that state of joy and laughter and excitement and exuberance without alcohol. That comes second nature to me. Alcohol to me would be a dumbing down. Coke, I don't know if I could access that, but alcohol I can. So now what you have going on here is anything that's going to hurt you is the low vibration energy goes, okay, give them a break. Again, come back to cutters, right? That's why the cutters are doing this weird cutting thing in my view. They're cutting, the low vibration energy goes away, they get a reprieve. But later, now they have an injury and they're more traumatized than ever. Drug addiction at the highest level, heroin, meth, crack cocaine, here's what it does. You do crack, you do heroin, they have had more pleasure in the physical realm than anything I've ever had. The average vagrant on the street that's done heroin has had highs that I will never experience, or meth. I'll never know what that's like, but it comes at a cost. You will blow apart your protection shield like into shrapnel. And now what happens is when you sober back up, two things have happened. First of all, what do we talk about, including like with the game Horizon Zero Dawn? Opportunity cost. Say that with me. Opportunity cost. So now what's happened is you've taken opportunity cost to make your life better. Instead, you've wasted it, okay? So you didn't move forward. Likewise, though, what you also did was you also depleted yourself. So that's why you'll see like meth heads, their face looks all weird. They look demonic. They look demented, whatever you want to call it. You can call it whatever you want. Meth is probably the worst of them, but crack cocaine, heroin, it literally takes from you. It gives to you more on the front end than anything you could ever get, and it takes from you. So now what happens is that their life is really, really bad. Now imagine that your life has gotten that bad. You've now obliterated your protection shield, which means trauma energy is getting activated. Think of the worst day, your worst ever breakup, or the worst day that you got fired, or whatever's like your worst thing that you're just feeling like complete crap. Once you've done hard drugs, you're gonna feel like that right after in complete trauma. So what do you do to get rid of it? You medicate it. Again, and then you go more down, medicated. And by the way, now your protection shield's even more obliterated. Medicated again. Now what's happening is low vibration energy is coming in, and what you're doing is now you're addicted on it, and you're moving into situations that will trigger more low vibration energy. That's where, videos like bum fights come from, where you see what do you see a homeless guy on the street? I hate you. You're bad. No, yeah. You're in my corner. You took from me. You're a bad guy. I hate you. They're in hell. They are in hell. That hell energy has now come to the earth. Conversely, people at a high level in personal development, you'll see them very centered, vibrant, in their potential, living life, and doing things at a high level. These are the lessons that you're not going to get taught in mainstream television. You can choose to believe them or not. Maybe believe part of it. Believe whatever you want. These are the things that people aren't seeing. Ultimately, you're here to ascend. So anything that you're doing that is not contributing to that, it's okay to do a couple little random things here or there, maybe in a little vice here or there, that's fine. But if the larger direction, if the trajectory isn't ascent, it is a waste of your time. And what you're doing is you're spinning your wheels. If you believe in reincarnation, you're just extending your time here and not getting lessons. Understand that what's going to happen is that at each lesson point, you are going to have a choice. And say the word, it's either bitter or better. Say this with me. Bitter or better. So what's happening is as you ascend, the reality is going to get tested. Okay? And here's the main key to the reality being tested. It's a crap test coming in the same way a crap test from a significant other might come. It's coming from the universe. In energetic work, we have two things we can go at. We either move with the creator or the creation. Say this with me. Creator or creation. The creation is the physical manifestation. The creator is the abundant high vibration energy. And which one are we attached to? So if you're up here speaking as an example, say you're doing public speaking, this will be a great other lesson for your speaking. If you're going into high vibration energy, your power is increasing. You will get more energy from working rather than less. More than less. Am I getting energy from this or losing energy from this right now? Are you seeing it? Yeah. How many days have I been speaking? How many days have I? 5. How many days have I been speaking at a world-class level?
5.
Think about this for a minute. Have I lost energy? 4.5. Got me. Have I lost energy or gained energy? And now, if you guys want to talk about competing in entrepreneurship, you're competing against someone who's gaining energy from working, that'll be an interesting outcome. So there's a lot of practical implications to this, not just spiritual. But because ironically, when you get this down, the material comes. That's the hilarious part. But let's go deeper. So what you have is you have to choose. You're going to get tested. As you move up, you'll be tested. The reality gets tested. And basically, you have a choice. The reality will be pulled away from you. If you go deeper in that moment into release muscles versus control muscles, say release versus control. If you go into release more, then what happens is you align to the high vibration energy and you go into another energetic reality. Now, if you want to see this live, it's simple. Examples anybody could watch that we can't put our finger on. Tom Brady, Atlanta Falcons, Super Bowl 2-3 years ago, right? He goes, what happened there? The reality was tested, and what'd he do? He stuck with it, right? Do you guys remember that when he came back down from the largest deficit ever in the Super Bowl? I watched him do it. I can see this stuff a mile away. I watched him do it. He disattached from the physical of losing the Super Bowl. He went into the energy. What started happening as soon as he went in the energy? Pass. Wins the coin toss. Surprise, surprise. We saw LeBron James a couple years ago against the Warriors. Down 3-1 against the most winningest regular season team ever, the Warriors. Down 3-1, no one's ever come back from that. I watched him do it. I can tell when people are doing this. He stuck with the energy. What happens is things move slower for you. How am I able to give this speech, which I've never given before, at this level with no preparations? There's no ums or ahs. I'm not struggling with it. It's easy for me. Things are moving slower for me than what you're seeing, than what you're experiencing right now if you're not in this with me. You get it? Things are moving slower for LeBron, slower for Brady. Things are happening with more ease. He's moving into a different energetic reality, okay? If you need to hop up, don't worry, bro. Don't be embarrassed. Okay, go drink it up, man. Okay, go in the creation, buddy. Okay, so what you have is you get shit tested. Now, in game 1 of last year's final, what also happened was LeBron also went into the creation. And what began to happen, you can watch this happening. Watch it for yourself. Watch the replay. What happened was he began to dominate. He had no good. The team around him the following year was like last place. It was a little bit of a different team, but you get the idea. He began to. Basically, he was affecting reality around him to where the Warriors couldn't beat him. He was single-handedly beating the crap out of them. Now, he doesn't know that he's in the energetic realm, so he's just like, I'm LeBron. I want to get a better shoe deal or with Nike, whatever I don't know what he's thinking, actually. Okay, he's probably thinking a lot of cooler stuff than that, but you know my point. Pretty amazing guy. So what happened was he's about to win the game, and then J.R. Smith misses the ball right at the end. First he passed it in. The guy blows that shot. He gets a foul thing, blows that. J.R. Smith, do you guys remember this? He has it under the basket. What does J.R. Smith do? Gets the rebound, dribbles backwards. Game tie, goes to overtime. What does LeBron do? He was tested in the new reality. What he can do is he can go, come here, JR. You got this, brother. We already were winning against these guys. We're gonna crush him. Let's go. I love you, man. You're my guy. Keep going. But what did LeBron do? He went and pouted on the bench. And what did LeBron do after that cost him the series? He walked to the back. Low vibration energy took over. He punched the wall, broke his hand. Didn't tell anybody because he doesn't want to make an excuse. Lost every other game after that and lost. What happened was you could physically watch it. One man with no surrounding team dominating this far superior stacked team, who, by the way, are more caught in outcome because of the fact that they're more in the physical, because their ego is like we're the Warriors and so on and so forth. I could get more in detail on that later. So basically, here's what you have. Warriors, though, also can be a very high vibration team, too, because they play for joy. But it just depends at the time. So what you had was LeBron was entering into another energetic realm. This is a guy on the ascent. That is why he's called a transcendent player. Say the word, a transcendent player. Transcendent player. So if you want to be a legend or an icon, you're not going to do that from in here. You're not going to do that with control muscles. You do it by mastering release muscles. You have to go away and tap in. You have to go away. You don't resist. In submission, in release, we connect to God. So the only way we can bring down high vibration energy, there's two things. We have to release and we have to want to help. Low vibration energy comes to you by default. High vibration energy must be called upon. Say this with me. Low vibration energy comes to you by default. High vibration energy has to be called upon. If you're not actively doing some kind of energetic practice, whether that's contribution, charity, whatever else it is, or active exercise like what we did earlier today, you're going to be mostly in a low vibration state. Conversely, if you are if you're not doing this actively, what's most of your life look like? Low vibration. Low vibration and chaos comes by default. Death and chaos comes by default. High vibration energy, you're called upon. You must trust certain losses. One moment. You have to trust certain losses because you're not here to get the exact physical outcome. You're here to get specific lessons to heal or even to go through pain to pay off your karma. So whatever that is, you could either be on the ascent or the descent. This other stuff is a joke. This other stuff is a joke. It is at the surface. It is a joke. Once you begin to see this, you will look at everybody around you and watch them playing out the joke. Okay? It is a big fat joke. Anyway, speaking of jokes, we got my good buddy Brandon I love to joke around with. So that'll leave you a little bit shocked. And on that note, Brent, do you want to start or do you want a minute? Oh, no. Could you guys give a hand to my good friend Brandon Carter? He's here right now. What's up, man?
How you doing?
Could you guys, great, man. Could you guys get him a mic?